Hello world, it's Berto Prey 5 Qapla, and welcome to my review of Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Episode 2. And if I thought last week was a hard episode to get through, I was not prepared for this week. The biggest problem with Discovery is when it goes back to tell us, what's happened so far in the story. And it reminds us just how poorly the writing was to get us where we are. Because honestly, if they didn't come back and point it out to me, my body would reject that it was even conceivably possible that the writing was this bad to begin with. And I would have probably just believed something more believable actually happened. And I somehow interpreted it wrong. But no, when they go back and they say, no, this really happened. Vulcan is really named Navarre. We have a new president of the Federation. Gray is actually a real person that they are somehow communicating with, that they are currently working on a way to create a conscious body for. You would think these things couldn't have happened. But oh yes, they have. Oh, and of course, Killy gets lots of people killed, thereby founding her mirror universe name in the main universe. And poor Book, his entire fucking planet is now gone. Yes, they erased his planet from existence. The planet where all the second season they were taking the endangered species to save them. All that work for nothing now. All that work for nothing. This planet is gone. Book, meanwhile, is just playing it over and over and over again in his head to try to figure out what went wrong, which is normal, but yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. We've got some terrible, terrible writing in this episode, and we'll go through it. This is not going to be a long review because I would kill myself if I had to actually review everything. So Saru comes back at Michael's request. They offer Saru a ship of his own. But of course, Saru, not wanting to take a ship of his own, says, I'd much rather be first officer of Discovery again. And apparently that's perfectly okay because, Michael will just take it away from her best friend Tilly now because Saru is back. They never actually go over. They're like, yes, of course you can have it, Saru. But they never bring up that Tilly now has to give up being first officer. And for all the sad things that happen, all the crying, all the hey, Tilly, it wasn't your fault, the people who died last week. Well, for this one thing, they don't ever talk about it. They don't ever talk about it. So, poor Tilly. I don't care. Why does Saru need to be on the Discovery? I don't know. Also, Saru is now talking about how he's got this big thing on his uniform, which shouldn't even be allowed. He's a council member in absentia for Sukral, for his planet. Why? Why would you leave your people stranded? Why not give your position to somebody who's currently on your planet, who's able to be a council member present? You're not being a hero, Saru. You're not being a hero by taking away a council seat and taking it with you as you fly around the galaxy. That council seat is a local position. It should remain local. And here's Saru. It would be his honor to be her number one, if she'll have him. And Michael, of course she'll take it. So fuck you, Tilly. Fuck you, Ensign Tilly. No longer first officer. You know what? I don't care. But they told us she was going to be a first officer. Now she's not. Okay, so now Stamets, 5 light years across. They couldn't believe it at first. But they've been analyzing this data for 48 hours, and the math doesn't lie, says Tilly. Admiral Vance of Vance Refrigeration. They know it's moving, but they don't know what it is. Their theory is it's a roving binary black hole. That 2 black holes are merging, creating gravitational waves in the process. Which, hey, that is real life stuff happening today in 2020's science. 900 years from now, they should have. Tilly said, the president asks, how did no one see it? And Tilly says, well, unless matter's actively falling into a black hole, it's largely undetectable. Yeah, maybe today. In 930 fucking years, it should be fucking detectable. Also, there's a fuck ton of matter all around the fucking sky. There is no empty space in space. Hydrogen gas and God knows what is constantly being sucked in. There is, when we see this later in the episode, there is no empty fucking space. There are asteroids and meteorites and whatever the fuck around this thing 24/7. You would see the fucking rim. You would see it. You would see it constantly. It'd be the brightest thing in the fucking sky. So they don't know what's going to happen. They need to go scan it. There's like, well, so now the Navarre president says, well, they're not Federation members, but they offer the full access of the Navarre Science Institute. And now she's like, also, we need to worry about unrest, civil unrest. Civil unrest? This is going to awaken post-burn fears. Now the president says, this is why we're all here. Because Federation, non-Federation, we all have to work together. They're literally planning on unrest as a new problem for the future. This is disgusting. They've inserted this into our timeline, into our Trek timeline. In 2020, we're worried now about civil unrest because of what we've seen. Frankly, what we've seen from COVID, what we've seen from various well, I'm going to just come out and say it, from various how do I put this? Various court cases that were recently reached verdict. Some people were more afraid than others, and it's only going to be a matter of time before we get a court case that's going to set off more civil unrest. And they're trying to push this as the new normal. They're trying to push this as a new normal. It's upsetting. Oh, that's our fake Ferengi. Yeah, we get our fake Ferengi. He's in this episode. So, what else we got? Oh, so Gray is a real character. So, Adira can talk to him anytime she wants. Everybody believes he's real. And they decided that, how they made Gray a suit? They made Gray a body in this episode. And you know what they used? The Soong method. It was used on some captain, Captain Picard, Dr. Culber. Dr. Culber knows that Captain Picard was a Soong type android with a synth body. So she's like, wait, this technology is 600 years old? Yeah. She's like, well, why don't we all have synth bodies? Well, apparently, no one has been able to replicate the Soong android except a Soong until today. Until Dr. Culber, who's got to be the worst doctor, like by and large, the worst doctor in Federation history we've ever seen. He is wrong more than he is right. Remember how wrong he was about Michael's mother's DNA. I mean, he was wrong every fucking episode last season. And now he's going to be the one that is going to put Gray into a synth body. And even Adira is like, wait, no one's been able to get this to work. Should we be worried? Maybe. And he's like, no, because Gray's consciousness has already been transferred once. So it's good to go. This is terrible, awful writing. Okay, now they're complaining about how the planet couldn't have survived the impact. They know where it's going now, but once they get there, it turns out they don't know where it's going. Yeah, it turns out they don't know where it's going. They get a whole bunch of data, but it turns out the data is useless. The data is useless. Tilly tells us that all she knows is that they've got to go through the data, but she knows enough that the data is useless. Yeah, the data is useless. It's ridiculous. I don't know why they continue putting out these episodes, but I need to stop what I'm doing, and I need to really, really consider if this is good for me. If it's good for you, is it good for them? I'm not sure it is. Like last week, I gave it a 3. This is a legit 1. A legit 1 out of 10. Like, what's the point? What's the point? Anyway, I'm sorry. It's going to be a short one. Qapla all. Bird out.